When I was 7 years old, I broke both my legs rock climbing for the first time with a friend. And when I came home from surgery, I was shocked to see that my grandmother was sitting there waiting in the living room with a smile on her face and a dollhouse at her feet. It was the most beautiful dollhouse I had ever seen. It was painted a deep cornflower blue, offset with white trimming and topped with a gray shingled roof. It came with 5 porcelain dolls, one of which looked like me, but the most striking one was the grandmother doll. She had her faded ginger hair pulled into a bun and wore a ivory lace blouse that she paired with a pink billowing silk skirt. It was, one of the few moments that she showed how much she loved me as a granddaughter. She tended to do things not entirely without a catch. I was pretty sure she expected something. So because I was in a wheelchair, I couldn't go play outside, I couldn't go to school, and most days I was just left to my own devices because my parents were busy. So I was bored, I was itchy under my calves, and I was scared because even though the doctors say that, the cast can come off in 6 weeks, you don't really know you don't know once those casts come off if you'll be able to walk again. And so for me, the dollhouse was my way to escape. So one night in the spring, I had a sleepover with all my friends. They were sleeping in their playroom. I got up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and the dollhouse just happened to catch my eye. The whole playroom was illuminated by the moonlight, and I could see the figures of each of the dolls. But I noticed that my dolls weren't where I left them. The mother looked frustrated. She had her face buried in her arms at the dining room table. The baby was alone in her bedroom, and the daughter was sitting outside with her dog. And the grandmother, she was sitting in the middle of the living room, poised with her hands in her lap. And I had the feeling that she was looking at me, watching me almost. But I didn't assume at first that my dolls were moving on their own. I thought that one of the girls had moved them. The next morning, when I asked them about it, no one admitted to it. I didn't catch that something strange was going on until a few weeks later, when I walked into my playroom and something felt off. Something inside of me was telling me to not look at the dollhouse, but I couldn't help myself. The mother doll was pointing a gun at the dog. The doll that looked like me was smothering the baby. And in all this, the grandmother doll was just sitting in her usual spot in the living room, poised with her hands in her lap, with a small smile on her face. When I saw all this, I screamed and ran to my parents and showed them, and they accused my sister of playing an awful joke on me. But my sister insisted that she had nothing to do with it. So I was relieved when my sister went away to band camp, because that meant I wasn't going to find any more gruesome scenes like that set up. But that's not what happened. I found the entire doll family on the living room floor, lined up with the grandma, poised with a butcher knife, ready to slit all of their throats. And then I heard my mother scream. She had blood dripping down her neck. Turning back to the dollhouse, the grandmother doll's butcher knife was wet with blood. And after that, I was done with the dolls. I was too afraid to play with them anymore. I wrapped up all the dolls in newspaper and made sure to keep the grandmother away from the family because, and I know it might sound silly, but I didn't want the grandmother to be able to hurt the family anymore. So after I wrapped the dolls up, I threw them in a corner of the attic and I got my father to take the dollhouse up there too. And I didn't think about the dollhouse for a very long time. Until recently. A few days ago, my daughter was playing in my family's attic when she brought down the dolls in the dollhouse that I had played with so long ago. And I can't explain it, but there was a new doll. It's exactly like her. And I'm terrified.